Hi friends, this is Ray, and this is one of my honey production hives this year. I want to tell you today how I increased my honey production threefold by making 3 changes in the way I approach my season this year. Now I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to make this video because the bees have discovered me and I don't have a bee suit with me. I just have this veil, but they seem to be a little bit feisty today. I want to just let you know right up front, this hive right here is not my normal size hive. Full disclosure, this is my largest hive that I have had this year. I do have some other hives that are pretty close in size to this particular one. But I made 3 changes this year in order to try to increase my honey production without increasing the number of hives that I have. And this one by far is my most successful hive. I think it stands with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 supers of honey, 1 deep and 4 mediums on it. And honestly, I could put another super on this one because it's completely full of honey and completely full of bees, but I'm not putting another super on it because, well, frankly, I can't really lift that high anymore. So I'm gonna let them cap this over, pull some off, and then give them the empty frames back if there's more nectar flow for them still this year. So I made 3 changes and I wanna go over them with you in hopes that maybe it'll help you with your honey production. So here they are. Number 1, I chose to not split any of my production hives. Normally in the spring when the buildup is happening, I'll take some frames of brood out, make a split, make a nuke that I sell for my customers, etc. But I designated certain hives as production hives for honey only, and I made sure I did not split or take any resources from those hives in the spring. This made sure that they got a real aggressive start to the year, plenty of bees, plenty of brood to build up. Now I did do a different kind of split, which I'll talk about in just a moment, but the traditional split where you pull off half of your bees, put it into a nuke, I didn't do this year. There's an old saying that beekeepers have, and it's this: you can either make honey or you can make bees. And I've learned that that's true. In the past, I tried to do both, and I found out I didn't make much honey if I went ahead and tried to make some nukes for sale for customers. So I separated my production hives, the ones that I really wanted to focus on honey, from my hives that I was going to split for the purpose of making nukes. Thanks for joining me today. Would you mind taking a second and hitting like and subscribe to my channel? It would really help me a lot. And by the way, if you have some ideas about how you increased your honey production, leave them in the comments below. The second thing that I did was this. I made sure that all of my production hives had first dibs on any drawn comb that I had left over from the winter. So growing my apiary over the years, I'm always constantly having to draw out new comb. And over the winter, I had a bunch of supers of drawn comb that was left. I gave all of that drawn comb to my production hives first, so that they didn't have to make any comb and they could start bringing in nectar as soon as the nectar flow hit at the beginning of April. I don't think this is a saying yet, but maybe it could be. If you've heard it before, let me know, because I've never heard it before. But I think it's probably got some truth to it. Not only do beekeepers choose between making honey and making bees, you can choose between making comb or making honey. And it actually makes a lot of sense. Think about it like this. It takes 6 pounds of nectar to make 1 pound of comb. And so when our hives have to draw out all of this comb, it really cuts back on their ability to just get right to work on honey. So the second choice that I made this year was to make sure that all my production hives had first dibs on all my drawn comb. And the hives that were being split into nukes, etc., I gave them any empty foundation that I needed in order for them to build out a platform for them to be able to make honey for themselves. And then the third thing that I did was I was very intentional and aggressive about a Damari split. All of my honey production hives went through a Damari split. Now, I'm going to make another video explaining how to do a Damari split, but I'm just going to give you a general principle about it and then tell you how I kind of tweaked it a little bit, especially in a hive like this, which got me to so much more volume of bees in order to make a tremendous amount of honey. The Damari split is not a split in a typical sense where you take some brood and resources from one hive and make it into another hive. Damari split is also sometimes called a vertical split. And what it is you take the brood from the bottom and you move it up to the top of the hive and then give the queen empty comb down at the bottom to lay out again and again and again. On this particular hive, I did 3 phases of Damari splits, 3 times. So I let the queen fill up this bottom box with brood. I moved it up to the top, gave her an empty super of drawn comb on the bottom. 2 weeks later, she had laid that up. I moved that up to the top, and I did it three different times until I had created a massive workforce. There are definitely some nuances to the Damari split, which I'll go over when I make a video on it. You've got to go in, you've got to destroy the queen cells that are in there, you've got to make sure that this hive doesn't swarm. But in principle, what it does is it creates a workforce because it makes the hive feel like they already swarmed, because down at the bottom where the queen is, most of the population has left. And so they get that feeling of, oh, look at all the space we have. We don't really need to split. We don't have enough bees to split because all the bees are up here at the top. So it makes them think that they have swarmed, but in essence is doing the exact opposite. It's creating this massive population of bees up here at the top that when they hatch out and then they come down, it begins to fill up and it creates this massive workforce that really maximizes honey production. I've done Damari splits in the past couple of years. I have not had as much success as I had this year. The difference I think this year was that I didn't just do it once, I did it 2 times in most hives, and in this hive I remember doing it 3 different phases. I moved that brood up to the top. And now as we're getting toward the tail end of the nectar flow, we're about almost to the middle of May, getting to the tail end of the nectar flow, she has laid up these 2 boxes again. It's too late for me to do another Damari at this point and move that back up to the top. If I did do that at this point, I'd have to move these 2 boxes up on top of here and give them 2 more boxes, and this hive would be absolutely enormous. I'm not really interested in breaking my back to do that. But the Damari split has been the most successful year I've had with it. It's taken me a couple of years to kind of learn it and tweak it a little bit. And so again, I'm gonna make another video and share a little bit about the details of what I do and how I do it. I think everybody's got their own little take on it and what they do, but there's a couple essential principles that are really key to being successful with the Damari split. And so I'll go over those in another video. But for today's purposes, I just want to say that that's the 3rd thing that I did. Was I was very diligent and I did the Damari split in 2 or 3 phases over the course of March and into the beginning of April. So the 3 things that I did was, number 1, I did not split my production hives. Number 2, I made sure that my production hives had drawn comb to work with almost exclusively, so that they didn't have to work on drawing out any comb this year. Well, that's not true. They didn't have to work on drawing out much comb this year. Some of them, like this hive, I ran out of drawn comb, but it really wasn't a problem because the workforce was so massive at that point they could draw it out really quickly. And then thirdly, I was really diligent to do the Damari split. Again, I did it in multiple phases to really maximize the volume. And thankfully, I have a hive like this where I tripled or quadrupled my honey production from last year. I mean, last year I was getting 1 super of honey off of my hives because of the way I managed it. But this year, all of my production hives, I'm getting 2 to 5 supers of honey off of them, which is a little bit higher than I've ever had before. So these changes have really paid off for me, and I'm planning to keep them going on my production hives next year. Hey, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. God bless, and I'll see you on the next video.